Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Terror Train. So this was a first time watch for me. Uh, to be 100% honest, I've known about this movie for quite a while. Um, and I don't know, I was just never really super interested in watching it. I think I might have watched the trailer a while back, and I just thought, that just looks all right. It doesn't look like, you know, one of the best, 80s slasher movies. It just looks like whatever. So, yeah, I never checked it out, but, you know, today as I'm recording this, it's New Year's Eve, and lately on the channel I've been doing a lot of movies, kind of like I'll like do movies around certain holidays because I think it's kind of fun. So I was like, oh, this is set on New Year's Eve, might as well check it out. And I am a big slasher fan, and I like some of those early Jamie Lee Curtis slasher movies, of course. you know 1978 Halloween, and the first Prom Night is decent. I haven't seen that in a while, but I recall mildly enjoying it. Even though the DVD I have of that, the lighting is absolutely terrible. You can't see anything. Like the night scenes, like I don't know what the heck is going on. It's just like black. But anyways, um, I was kind of reluctant to check this out, but then I realized it's set on New Year's Eve, so I thought, hey, what better movie to check out than a nice little 80s slasher for New Year's Eve? And to my surprise, I actually liked this. I thought it was a pretty solid 80s slasher movie. So yeah, I had a good time. Um, yeah, so now that I've given you all my overall thoughts, my opinion of the movie, I'm going to get into a little plot summary here. So, the beginning of the movie starts out at this fraternity party. It's a bunch of pre-med students, and there's some pranksters. They're pulling this prank on this kind of nerdy kid. He's just, I don't know, he's just not that cool. I don't know. He doesn't have the charisma like that. They're like, hey, let's just all gang up on this nerdy guy and totally traumatize him for life. And Jamie Lee Curtis's character, she takes part in this prank, but she's kind of reluctant to take part in the prank. She doesn't want to totally traumatize this kid. But anyways, they're pre-med students, so somehow they get a hold of this like cadaver, this corpse of this dead woman, and they prank the kid. Like the kid thinks he's about to get it on with Jamie Lee Curtis's character, but he ends up feeling up this corpse, and the dude just totally flips out, and it's so funny. He like when he's flipping out, like I don't know, maybe like the acting was a little off or something, but he's just totally spazzing out, and it's absolutely hilarious. He's just screaming. He's like acting like a total freak, and even though I would be totally traumatized as well, I just thought the acting was funny, and I was laughing a little bit, and he's like winding himself up in these like sheets, and I don't know what the heck was going on. So yeah, that's like the inciting incident, and then the movie jumps forward 3 years later. It's New Year's Eve. The opening part that took place on New Year's Eve as well, but the movie jumps forward. It's New Year's Eve. The same group of students, they're attending this costume party on a train for New Year's Eve, and uh, somehow a killer sneaks on board. The killer stole one of the students' disguises and is just the killer is like constantly changing disguises since it's a costume party and picking off all these students on the train. So that's the basic plot summary for you all. Now I'm going to get into some general random thoughts that I have about the movie. So first things first, the train setting I thought was very unique, and it added to the movie in my opinion. I'm not a huge fan of movies that are set on trains, and I'm kind of a basic guy where I like a lot of slasher movies that have kind of like a typical setting. Like there's so many slasher movies that I like that have like a similar setting. Like I really like those kind of backwoods, woodsy slasher movies, or a summer camp slasher movie. I'm a sucker for all that stuff, but the train setting was different, and it kind of added to the suspense because um, you're just isolated, you can't like call the cops for help because you're on this moving train. It's not hard. I mean, it's not easy to really just stop a train. It's not like hitting the brakes on a car and pulling over. Like it's not very easy to stop a train, and uh, you know, from what I gathered from the movie, their stop wasn't for a while, so they're just stuck with this killer in this small little isolated area. So I thought the setting was unique and it really added to the movie overall. So I was a fan of that. Something else that I liked is how the killer switched disguises. So you know, if you watch slasher movies, not all slasher movies. There's quite a few slasher movies where the killer just uh, does not have a mask, like in like The Mutilator or like Sorority House Massacre. The killer doesn't have a mask. There's a lot of slasher movies where the killer does not have a mask, but slasher movies are kind of synonymous with a masked killer. And it's a bonus if it's an iconic mask. I mean, some slasher movies just have like the dumbest masks, and it kind of takes you out of it. It's like, I'm supposed to be scared of this. This goofball is wearing some Dollar Tree clown mask. Like, come on, get out of my face. You think I'm scared of this? Like, you look like a goofball. I'll laugh in your face. You can't kill me. I'll laugh you to death. I don't know what the heck I'm talking about. I'm just, I don't know. I'm running out of material here. But anyways, in this movie, the killer is masked, and it's not like he's just wearing one mask. He's switching between different masks, different costumes, different disguises, which I really liked. It kind of, I don't know, me personally, it kept me on my toes where, I'm like, is this the killer? Is that the killer? And even though the masks in this movie, they weren't necessarily creepy, the way that the actor who was playing the killer, it might not have been the same actor who was the killer in the reveal at the end, but whoever was, the actor behind the mask, like the way they just move their eyes, the way they move their body, the way they kind of like emoted was just very creepy, very eerie. So yeah, I really liked it. Even though the masks weren't scary, they were still effective, And I just liked the aspect of switching disguises and like switching between masks, because I feel like you don't really see that in slasher movies. It's usually like either no mask or one mask. This was like the killer's like flip-flopping costumes every 2 seconds. So I thought that was pretty darn neat. Uh, Something else that I liked the setup in the beginning. You don't know if that individual is the killer. It's kind of a whodunit. But I always like in 80s slasher movies when they have this kind of inciting incident in the beginning, like in Prom Night, you know, the kids kill the other kid accidentally. And, you know, like there's always this inciting incident, or like, you know, Jason drowning in the first Friday the 13th. Like there's always something, you know, that I don't know, like it just has that 80s slasher feel when you have this inciting incident like that, or some like bullied kid, some troubled kid is pranked and he just snaps. So I liked the opening in this, how and the setup, and I don't know, I like when 80s slasher movies have that little inciting incident. It's always fun, and it makes it feel like a 80s slasher movie. And I kind of mentioned the whodunit element. Uh, you know, you have an idea of who the killer is in the movie, but there's like one main red herring, I would say. But I mean, I was waiting the whole movie to like for the reveal, because even though I had a very strong idea who the killer was, you never really know for sure. So I'm a fan of slasher movies with the whodunit aspect, and I feel like it was well done in this, and it really once again kept me on my toes and kept me guessing and kept me invested. So yeah, I like a little mystery. I like kind of trying to figure out who the killer is. So that was fun. Classic stuff right there. So far, most of the stuff that I've mentioned is very positive, and I said that I did like the movie overall. Now I'm gonna get into a couple negatives that I had, and they're really small things, because for the most part I did enjoy this movie. So one thing that was a negative for me was like the kills in this movie. Here's the deal. So the kills were not very good, and I feel like there were not a whole lot of kills. And this is a slasher movie, so kills are important. Like I said, like the overall mystery and the whodunit and the suspense of this movie was enough to keep me entertained. But the kills, they weren't creative. There wasn't a whole ton of gore, and you know, if you're watching something like a Friday the 13th, they have something like a kill every 7 minutes or something. This movie, there was a lot of fluff going on in between, which is cool. I'm not just some, you know, simpleton who just wants to see gore and action all the time. I'm cool with, you know, like a little like world building and stuff like that, and you know, you gotta have some stuff in there to kind of ease the tension in between. So like once the tension ramps up, it really hits you. It really has more effect, you know. But yeah, the kills were bland, so there wasn't really anything there, which is kind of disappointing. And how I mentioned there's a lot of fluff, there were a lot of sections in this movie that were slow in my opinion, and I feel like the pacing in this movie wasn't the best. It didn't move at like a super quick pace, which is fine sometimes. Like, okay, we're gonna talk about Halloween again I mean, I don't always like to reference that movie because that's like the best movie ever, like the best horror movie ever, and it's like easy to reference. But I mean, Jamie Lee Curtis is in this movie, so it's fair game. And it came out around the same time. So yeah, like Halloween is slow, but it builds at a steady pace. Like I was thinking before, like right before I started recording, like about this like analogy. Like Halloween is kind of like, you know, like when you're on a roller coaster and you're like edging up to the top, and then you hit the peak and then you just go down. Like that's how Halloween is. Like the first two acts, you're just edging up, slowly building, and it's really building that tension, and you're like on pins and needles, and then like once it hits the peak, like it hits. This movie, it was like there'd be like a little tension, and then there'd be like a stretch where it's just like we're seeing a magician for like 10 minutes, which the stuff with the magician was cool, but it was like, or it was cool, but it was like kind of drawn out. There was like a little too much, and then there was like a lot of stuff with like the college kids, like a lot of these little subplots with like relationship stuff, which is fine. You need some other story going on. It can't just all be suspense and tension, but I don't know. There was just a lot of slow parts in my opinion, and even the third act I feel like was really drawn out. The third act was good, but I was like, when are they gonna get on with it? It was like, you know, this thing happens, and you think you're at like the final climax, but oh, like the killer's back. Oh, the killer's back. Oh, you know, something else happened. The movie's still going on. So yeah, the two main negatives for me were that there were a lot of very slow parts, and I feel like the pacing was not that good, and the kills were not very good at all in my opinion. But those are the only negatives. Overall, I think there's a lot to like about this movie. And yeah, those were the last couple things that I really wanted to talk about. So I'm going to get into my recommendation here, and then I'm going to head out. So, like I said, I surprisingly enjoyed this movie a lot. So, I think that, yeah, I think it's a solid 80s slasher. It's a very fun movie to watch around, New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. So I would definitely recommend this if you're a horror fan, if you're a slasher fan. Uh, Check it out. It's definitely worth one watch in my opinion. So yeah, if you haven't seen it, check out Terror Train. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say about Terror Train. So I'm gonna head out. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.